Hello everyone and welcome back to Alternative Apex. We are here in Mexico City for round 14 of the 2022 Formula 1 season. Lovely clear skies above the racetrack today, so hopefully no weather interruptions on this event. It's an exciting race as we're getting ever closer to the end of the 2022 Formula 1 season. Today, for the first time this season, there is a real chance Charles Leclerc could become Formula 1 World Champion, so do not go anywhere. This is going to be an exciting one. The drivers are all down on the grid and this is how they will line up. On the front row of the grid, it is Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso. These two former rivals in Formula 1 have quite the history together, but it was Hamilton on this occasion who took pole position for the first time this year after a very exciting qualifying session. In third is Carlos Sainz, championship hopeful there, ahead of George Russell, and Valtteri Bottas ahead of Max Verstappen. Then is Lando Norris and Sebastian Vettel in 7th and 8th, ahead of Pascal Wehrlein and championship favourite and current leader Charles Leclerc in 10th. Just outside the top 10 there is Nico Hülkenberg and Esteban Ocon ahead of the two Williams drivers in 13th and 14th. Then there's Pierre Gasly and Daniel Ricciardo, both of whom with grid penalties. You'll see a lot of those on the grid today. Then there's Kevin Magnussen and Zhou Guanyu, again with grid penalties there, as then it's the Haas of Mick Schumacher, head of the AlphaTauri of Tsunoda. Then on the back row it is Sergio Perez and Lance Stroll, who bring up the back of today's grid. Now it is time to go down to the actual grid to see the drivers and teams preparing for today's race. Today could well be the day. It's going to be an exciting one no matter what happens in the championship. The grid very mixed up as we got towards the end of the season. Some teams have stopped developing, others have continued, and that's how we find ourselves in this situation with Mercedes and Alpine on the front row of the grid. I mean, if you told me that 10 races ago, I would not have believed you. If you told me that last race, I would not have believed you. Of course, lots of grid penalties as well have had an impact on this, but that Mercedes and Alpine genuinely are sort of looking like top 5 at least contending cars, as Sainz starts behind them in 3rd place. The drivers now take to the formation lap. Sainz, again for the second race in a row, is taking a risk on strategy. It didn't work for him last time out in Singapore. However, he is going to be starting on these soft compound tyres yet again at this race and committing to that two-stop strategy. Let's hope it goes a bit better for his sake, but I can't say I'm too confident after how badly it went last week. But we are in for quite an exciting race, a dramatic race quite possibly. This circuit rarely disappoints in Formula 1. Lewis Hamilton is pulling into his first position spot now with Fernando Alonso, his long-time Formula 1 rival, arguably his greatest rival, starting alongside him with Carlos Sainz desperate to claw some points back in this championship and keep it alive, starting in 3rd there on the soft compound of tyre. The final few cars are lining up on the grid now, and we are almost ready to race here in Mexico. As now, Lance Stroll, the final car, is now in position. All 5 lights are on, and we are racing in Mexico. It's a good start there from Fernando Alonso. So there from Lewis Hamilton, both of them nicely off the line, but Alonso maybe slightly better there. He's alongside the Mercedes for the lead of the race as they make their way towards turn 1. Lots of battling throughout the pack, but Fernando Alonso, he's got the inside line. He's got the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. Brilliant start there from the Spaniard in the Alpine. He takes the lead away from Lewis Hamilton as George Russell is battling away with Carlos Sainz. These two duel out for 3rd place in this race. Behind them it is Max Verstappen and then Valtteri Bottas in 6th place there ahead of Sebastian Vettel. As look at this, Sainz and Russell continuing to battle away now as they make their way through this tight and twisty part of the lap. Lots of grandstands getting quite the treat here on lap 1 of the race. 3 wide for a moment there. Bottas, Wehrlein and Vettel there all battling it away on this opening lap. Wehrlein just staying ahead of Vettel there. Bottas up in 6th. But as we move our way up the field, you can see, actually, we move our way further down the field. We can see Hülkenberg there battling away with Alexander Albon as Leclerc has dropped position off the start to 11th. But up at the front, it is Fernando Alonso. He's going to lead the first lap of this race. Further down the field in the battle for 3rd place, we have Carlos Sainz versus George Russell. Sainz right on the back of the Mercedes. Oh, but Russell goes wide. So we've seen so many times this season, if you put that driver in front of you under pressure, it's so easy to make a small mistake, and that's exactly what's happened here. Russell lets Sainz through on those soft tyres, but up at the front now, Hamilton is right on the back of Fernando Alonso. Then it is, of course, Sainz, Russell, Verstappen in 5th here. Verstappen Not doing too badly so far on the Red Bull, but is just trying to hang on to these leaders, pushing hard and pushing too hard. It's a big spin there for Max Verstappen. A mistake for the Red Bull driver. Just shows the frustration that there is within that team. It's not been going their way this season. The Porsche power, maybe it hasn't been good enough for that team, because the team that won the championship in 2021 have really struggled in 2022, and whilst they may not have struggled as much as the likes of Mercedes have, they've still not been that championship contender that they were expected to be this year. Back at the front now, it's Lewis Hamilton all over the back of Fernando Alonso with the help of DRS. He's going to go to the inside. He's going to go late on the brakes, is the Briton. Wheel to wheel through turn 1. Now into turn 2. Hamilton gets a little bit sideways on the exit out. Sainz is now going to race him as they come out of turn 3. Russell's right in the mix here as well. Sainz bangs wheels with Lewis Hamilton as they make their way up towards turn 4. Racing away here in Mexico. Such exciting battles happening so far in this race. Alonso maintains the lead for now, as we now see George Russell all over the back of Sainz. Sainz's tyres perhaps starting to struggle a little bit in this race. The Ferrari is going to have to defend from the Mercedes as they go into turn 1 there. Sainz laid on the brakes, squeezing Russell as much as possible. Russell's kept his nose in though, demands the space. Going to get pushed a bit wide here, but he's going to keep his foot in it, and he's going to get past the Ferrari with the help of DRS down towards turn 4 now. That is George Russell getting ahead of Carlos Sainz for the final place on the podium. But there's a long way to go here, and Sainz is yet to give this position up just yet. Keeps his nose in. They're still side by side as they go through this almost stadium section, but I think it would be a stadium section if it wasn't for the literal stadium section later in the lap. But they're still side by side as they're side by side into the S's now. Great stuff here. But George Russell will take the position away from Carlos Sainz. Up into third place now. Brilliant racing early in this race. And at the end of that lap, Carlos Sainz will come into the pit lane, perhaps unsurprisingly on that one. The Ferrari driver deciding that those softs weren't going to last much longer, puts on the medium tyres and is leaving the pits now. Now on board we have Lewis Hamilton, who's once again on the back of Fernando Alonso. He's going to try and make the move into turn 1. Alonso holds it off. Oh, but he locks the front right. He goes in too deep, and that's going to hand the lead to Lewis Hamilton as Alonso tries to get his bearings back again now. But Alonso has lost the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton is back out in front here, as Alonso will have to rally to try and keep up with that Mercedes, because Hamilton is looking very quick today and is going to be quite the tough opponent here. As we look down to the battle for 5th place here, for the battle for 4th place here, Valtteri Bottas right on the back of Pascal Wehrlein into turn 1, racing away into the first braking zone, and they miss their braking zone. Bottas locks up the front right, just like Alonso did, goes deep into the corner, and is not only going to lose the place to Wehrlein, but also potentially going to lose the place to Sebastian Vettel as they make their way down towards turn 4. Who's going to come out on top in this little battle? Vettel looks like he's got ahead, but Bottas is going to keep his nose and keep it side by side. All of this is giving Wehrlein the chance to pull away out in front. They're still racing, but Vettel gets ahead of his rival there, Valtteri Bottas, dropping down to 6th place. Vettel, after getting Aston Martin's first points of the season along with Lance Stroll last time out, is now running in the top 5. Crazy scenes here in Mexico so far. But Bottas wants to take that position back away from the Aston Martin. He's going to go down the inside of Sebastian Vettel. Great racing. Down the inside, but he gets a little bit sideways, just like Hamilton did much earlier in the race. Norris is going to try and take advantage of it, fighting his way past now as they make their way out of the first corner. We've got yellow flags here. What's going on? Oh, and that's Kevin Magnussen who stopped between turns 1 and 2. That's a very dangerous place to have a car parked. And Magnussen looks like he's got some sort of issue here. Looks like he's going to get going again just about as the car trundles away from the scene. But that is going to cause a safety car. That is a very strange incident here. Let's see what has happened to Kevin Magnussen through turn 1. This is, oh, and it's just like Verstappen, it's a big spin really. Makes that mistake through turn 1, loses his car, and it looks like he's just not able to get the car up and running straight away. And because of that, it is going to bring out the safety car on lap 13 of the Mexican Grand Prix. And for the first time in 2022, we are going to see the appearance of the safety car. Lewis Hamilton is going to take this opportunity to come into the pit lane. Fernando Alonso will do the same. George Russell as well. I imagine most of the field will do just that. Maybe with the exception of Carlos Sainz, who pit just a few laps ago. Russell gets a little bit held up in the pit stop there, losing a little bit of time because of the double stack. Will he get out ahead of the Aston Martin? Just about he will. Good timing there from the Mercedes team as we look further up. That's Wehrlein pulling into his pit box. Russell will be ahead of him, so looks like most people maintaining roughly where they came in. As now we have Hülkenberg making his way into his pit box again. The double stacking going to slow him down just a little bit there, as he puts on the hard compound tyre, as most of the field will do, if not all of the field will do, putting on those hard tyres until the end of the race. Carlos Sainz has actually stayed out on the racetrack here, and that is going to mean that, yeah, he will not pit, so like we expected now, but it is time for the restart. We are back to green flag racing here in Mexico. Lewis Hamilton leads them away, but Fernando Alonso is right there on the back of him. This is going to be exciting as they make their way down to the first corner. Defending hard is Lewis Hamilton as they go into the first braking zone. Hamilton is going to brake as late as he can, but it's too late. He goes deep into the corner, and that is going to hand the lead over to Fernando Alonso. It's another mistake there from a driver in turn 1, and Russell is going to try and capitalise as well. He's racing with his teammate. He wants to try and give himself a chance at this victory today. The Mercedes looks like it is quite possibly the quickest car. He knows that the top Mercedes in today's race could well win it, and he wants that to be him. Russell will to win with Lewis Hamilton, and he's going to get ahead of Lewis Hamilton, the young rookie. Well, not quite a rookie anymore, I suppose. It feels like it, given his Williams years might as well have not happened for a lot of it. But George Russell up ahead of Lewis Hamilton now. As, oh, that's smoke, and not again, not again. Lewis Hamilton, that's his engine gone once again this season, and he is out of the Mexican Grand Prix. He's pulled up to the side of the road, and let's see on board here on the replay with Pascal Wehrlein, and look at the smoke pouring out of the back of that Mercedes. Good job Wehrlein was aware there, because he could have easily been blinded by that smoke, and thankfully Hamilton gets quickly out of the way there. Doesn't cause any further incident, but still heartbreaking for the driver who could well have won today and keep up his streak of winning a race in every season he competes in Formula 1. Now in the mid-pack, got racing again between Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas here. In the meantime, Charles Leclerc has made a charge quite a far way up the order, up into 6th place now, behind his teammate. He's recovered quite a lot in this race so far. Bottas ahead of Vettel for now, but Vettel going to fight back on the exit of the final corner, side by side down the main straight towards turn 1. Hulkenberg's going to get involved here. He's going to make it 3 wide. Then behind them, you've got Esteban Ocon, who's following this group of cars. He's going to try and get in the fight. As they're 3 wide towards turn 1, not quite. Hulkenberg backs out of it. Bottas on the inside of Vettel. Then Hulkenberg, you can see, trying to take advantage of whoever comes out on top of this battle, following them through. But they race out of turn 3 now, still side by side between Bottas and Vettel. Vettel keeping his nose in there, going to get a better exit, pull himself slightly ahead with the inside for the next corner. That's where you want to be. But Bottas then will have the inside for the next corner after that, so it'll swing back in his direction. So they're still side by side here. Vettel with the better traction on the outside line, but Bottas puts his foot down and will get up into 7th place there. Hulkenberg in 9th ahead of Ocon there. Schumacher just outside the points at this point, as Gasly is in 12th ahead of Alexander Albon and Sergio Perez, as these two race their way into the S section, and still Will Albon putting up a great fight there to race off the Red Bull of Sergio Perez. As Perez not very happy with something there, maybe a bit of wheel banging there with Lando Norris, but he will get ahead of the McLaren, although the McLaren, sorry, that's Daniel Ricciardo actually, and McLaren and Daniel Ricciardo fighting with Sergio Perez here as Verstappen's in this fight as well, just behind them. Red Bull having another miserable day, and Perez in his home Grand Prix looking to try and get a good result today. Let's see how this will go through the final corner now. Perez makes his way down towards the main straight. Here we go, let's see. Up in 14th place now, as that's Ricciardo into the pits actually, so Ricciardo's had some sort of problem, must have banged wheels quite heavily with Sergio Perez. Perhaps that's why Perez was complaining in the car, but Ricciardo is going to have to pit for a new front wingers. Up at the front, George Russell has reeled in Fernando Alonso for the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. Is he going to go to the inside? Is he going to go to the outside? He's going to go to the outside now. George Russell versus Fernando Alonso, young versus old. Who's going to win in this fight? Alonso defends through turn 1 and now into turn 2. Russell has to wait his turn. He's right behind the Alpine though, and with a long way left in this race, he's got plenty of opportunities to take the lead, but he wants it now, and he wants it as soon as he possibly can. Around the outside of Fernando Alonso, George Russell now with the inside. Can he take the lead away from the Alpine? It looks like he's got it. George Russell is your new race leader for Mercedes. Russell yet to win in Formula 1. He is now your leader of the Mexican Grand Prix ahead of Fernando Alonso, who, after such a long winless streak, will want to catch back up and get back in the fight for the win here. He wants to get another win, but let's see with DRS, can he get close enough? It just doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. Russell has got the pace over the Alpine at the moment. Alonso just trying to hang on to the back of that Mercedes at the moment, but for now at least, George Russell has the pace over Fernando Alonso. Making their way through that double right-hander, you could just see Russell with the pace advantages now. Further down the order, got Lando Norris having to defend from his former teammate Carlos Sainz. And Carlos Sainz, a nice simple move there for the Ferrari driver on those medium tyres. In theory, slightly more grip than those on the hards. at this point at least, although he will, I imagine, have to pit soon. But behind them, you've got Charles Leclerc now on the back of Lando Norris. Will Leclerc be able to make the move down this straight? Doesn't look like he's quite close enough on this occasion, but Leclerc looking like he is soon to get past Lando Norris as well and get up into the top 5 here. As now into the pits comes Carlos Sainz, putting in on his hard set of tyres. That'll be his final pit stop of the day now, as we have Charles Leclerc on the back of Lando Norris, racing towards turn 1 they go. Leclerc looking to try and get in the fight for the podium today. He's going to go to the outside of Lando Norris. Lando Norris squeezes him towards the inside there, but Leclerc fights back. He wants this championship today, and as things stand, Leclerc will be champion today, but there is, as I've said many times, a long way to go in this one. 12 laps remain in the Mexican Grand Prix, but Charles Leclerc up into 4th place now, and looking set to get a very good result today for the Ferrari team. Now later in this race, on lap 33 or 36, much later in this race, Charles Leclerc is now on the back of the Porsche of Pascal Wehrlein, looking to try and ruin Porsche's day. Wehrlein's had such a clean run so far in this race. He's just avoided all the drama, avoided all the engine failures, and has found himself up into 3rd position, best of the rest so far. His pace hasn't been spectacular though, and you can see it because look at that, Charles Leclerc is going to cruise past the Porsche car and up into 3rd place in this race. Charles Leclerc is into a podium position. Wehrlein will do all he can to fight this one back. You can see him trying to find some grip, trying to find some clean air to put on that front wing, but Charles Leclerc is up into a podium position now. And Pascal Wehrlein will just have to watch and see if he can keep up with that Ferrari, but I doubt it very much because that Ferrari has been a great car all season long. But in front of Charles Leclerc, he's got a 7-second gap to Fernando Alonso and then a further 5 seconds to George Russell, who is controlling this race, and he will control it all the way to the final lap. Here we go, George Russell through the stadium section for the final time today, through the final corner. George Russell, take a bow, because you are a Formula 1 race winner. George Russell wins the Mexican Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso will do all he can for Alpine, but in the end, all it will be for him is a 2nd place finish, which for Alonso, whilst it will mean a lot to just get that great result for the Alpine team, I think he knew the win was possible today. As across the finish line now, in 3rd place, it is your 2022 Formula 1 World Champion. Charles Leclerc and Ferrari have done it with 2 races left in the season. Charles Leclerc is champion of the world after a brilliant drive from 10th to 3rd. What a way to seal it there. But the winner on this day is George Russell, takes his first career victory, perhaps overshadowed by Leclerc's first Formula 1 championship, but nonetheless, an impressive drive today. Really avoided all the issues, was ahead of his teammate before his teammate had the reliability issues, and then fought his way past the famously hard to overtake Fernando Alonso. So well done George Russell on a fantastic drive today. Well done Fernando Alonso on a brilliant 2nd place today. Every driver on that podium was just unbelievable today, and what a race it was. So many stars on that grid, and well, today just really highlighted that. What a race to witness. George Russell is a Formula 1 race winner. Fernando Alonso, no matter his age, he's going to be up front, and Charles Leclerc, he is a Formula 1 world champion. I think we all knew this day was coming, but today it is official. Charles Leclerc is your 2022 Formula 1 champion. So here are your official results for today's Grand Prix. It is George Russell, Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc, the top 3 in this race, ahead of Pascal Wehrlein, who gets Porsche's best result in Formula 1 to date. Behind them it is Lando Norris and Valtteri Bottas. Sebastian Vettel gets Aston Martin's best result of the season with 7th, adding 6 points onto the 3 they scored last time out in Singapore. Behind him it is Nico Hülkenberg, then Esteban Ocon, before Mick Schumacher takes the final points-paying position today. Here are the Drivers' Championship standings now. Charles Leclerc with a 79-point lead over his teammate. That gap is now uncatchable, so of course Charles Leclerc is your champion of 2022. In 3rd place it is Sergio Perez, who continues to stay ahead of his teammate Verstappen by 11 points. Behind Verstappen it is then George Russell, who with that win solidifies himself into the top 5 of the World Drivers' Championship. Whilst mathematically it's possible for him to drop down, it is unlikely now with the points gap he has over Valtteri Bottas that he will finish anywhere other than 5th in the Drivers' Championship this season. Behind Bottas it is then Lewis Hamilton, who with more just shocking luck ends up in 7th in the championship. Then it is Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon in 8th and 9th. Lando Norris 10th in the championship, but with 2 races left it is still possible that quite a lot of these positions, other than 1st of course, can change. Now here is a look at the Constructors standings. Ferrari, of course, already locking up the Constructors Championship for the team last time out in Singapore. Red Bull in second there, comfortably ahead of Mercedes. Then is Alpine, who continued their strong runner form as they pull away further over Alfa Romeo. Then there's Porsche in sixth, ahead of McLaren, who have jumped Haas after that race today. Then there's AlphaTauri in ninth, ahead of Aston Martin in 10th, and Williams still yet to score points this season. So that was today's Mexican Grand Prix. I hope you enjoyed it. What a race it was. So much drama to talk about. But, well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, because I really did love that race today. So much of just absolutely everything. Drama, overtaking, battling for the lead, battling for every last position, realistically. So what a wonderful race that was. So thank you very much for watching today's race. Next up is the Brazilian Grand Prix, and whilst the championship may be wrapped up, there is still a lot that can happen this year. So please do watch the final two races as well, because who knows what might happen. Mercedes and Alpine are now apparently teams that can compete for wins. So anything can happen in those final two races, so please do tune into those. And to make sure you don't miss those or the next season or of Alternative Apex, please do subscribe to the channel and show your support, because it really is appreciated. So thank you everyone for watching, and until next time, goodbye.